let's talk a little bit about Giannis, because shortly after the Bucks were bounced in the first round for the third straight season, it was reported that Giannis is open-minded about playing elsewhere for the first time in his 12-year career. So reps from both sides, Giannis's camp and the Bucks camp, they're going to discuss their future, whether it's together or not, later this summer or in the coming weeks, I guess. But we all know nothing stops the slop from slopping. Nothing stops the slop. Put that on your back at a swim meet. Ew, actually, don't do that. So, thought it'd be fun if we drafted some potential landing spots as the Greek freak here weighs his options. And we can speak in generalities for now. Like, I mean, you can pitch your trade, package if you want, but it's just more like the idea of like, where makes sense? Who has the pieces? Where would he maybe want to go and all that, right? So that's what we're doing here. It basically should be realistic enough. And the fact is, I guess all 29 teams should be in the Giannis sweepstakes. Now, whether all of them can be or of course will be is another question. But let's do it here. Drafting the best landing spots for Giannis. Let's do 3 rounds. Let's say you go first, and then we'll go back and forth and talk it out.
All right, number 1 pick. Favorite place I would like to see Giannis other than Milwaukee, the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay, number 1 on my list as well.
How could it not be? Wemby and Giannis. Me likey. The coolest possible front court you could put together. I don't know, maybe in NBA history. You've got one guy that's 7'5" who shoots 40% from 3. You got another guy who's 7 feet who shoots 60% from 2. Yeah. They're both awesome defensively. Giannis isn't quite at his defensive player of the year peak that he was in the past, but put him next to Wemby, who will eventually win some defensive player of the years when he is able to finish seasons. Interesting fit offensively, but I mean, they would be impossible to score against. And then, of course, the Spurs have a ton of assets now that they could use to get this deal done. They've got number 2 and number 14 in this year's draft. They've got a whole bunch of young players. And for me, if the person's name isn't Victor Wembanyama, I would be fine trading him. And that even goes for De'Aaron Fox, no offense.
And I guess that goes for Castle as well, 20 years old, yes. Rookie of the year.
Vassell, see ya. Sohan, see ya.
Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, that's a guy.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got a lot of picks as well. They've got their own. Then they've got all their own picks. Then they've got Atlanta picks in 2026 and 2027. They've got a swap with Boston in 2028, a complicated one in 2030 with Minnesota and Dallas, and then they even have a Sacramento swap in 2031. So there are a lot of pieces that the Spurs could give that would help the Bucks instantly rebuild, right? Like they're getting other teams' drafts, and I think that's big because you would not want to bet on a Wemby Giannis team being bad. Like that's going to be a pick in the 20s eventually, you know? But maybe that Sacramento 2031 one looks really nice, and you're getting young dudes who would be helpful depending on who it is. Castle, Vassell, all those guys were named.
I mean, some young, talented guys for sure if you're in Milwaukee. I like this one. This one makes sense. I love the downhill pressure that Giannis would bring to pair with Wemby. Like it's like feels like just a super athletic version of like Duncan Robinson 2.0 in San Antonio when Duncan was the younger guy and Robinson was a little bit older, but both obviously elite defenders, great offensive players. So yeah, you do this, no brainer. I'm with you. I mean, even if it's like if your team is like left being Giannis, Wemby, Fox, and then you just go and try and get as much shooting as possible to fill out the roster, like you're sitting pretty, I think. So.
Is Mamu still going to be there? Former teammate.
Yeah, good point. I don't know.
I heard they're close.
They are?
Yeah, so close.
Oh.
Yeah, they're really close guys. Okay. They're always talking on the phone together.
Oh, on the phone. You know you're close when you're calling each other.
FaceTime.
Nice. Okay, so Spurs off the board. I like that one. Let me keep it going here. I'm sticking in Texas. I'm going Rockets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Rockets. For what it's worth, the Rockets are favorites right now on BetMGM to land Giannis if he gets traded. Plus 475. It makes sense because the Rockets have the goods to make this happen. They control their own picks. They control future picks from the Suns, Mavericks, and Nets. So like you were saying, it's like, okay, we're going to give you a bunch of our draft capital and we'll add Giannis. And Milwaukee's like, okay, great. We're going to get a bunch of picks in like from the 20 to 30 range because you're probably going to be pretty good. But then you get all these other teams. I like that because now you're betting on a couple of these other teams for whatever reason having a bad season, falling off, stuff like that, pivoting into being bad, and those picks maybe are coming your way. So that's the same thinking. And then it would be, here's what probably happens, right, in a Giannis to Houston trade. Talking about phone calls. I assume it goes something like, yeah, we'll trade you Giannis for all these picks and all these blah, blah, blah from all these other teams you got, but we want Amen Thompson. And then Houston, I think, goes, we can't give you Amen Thompson because this guy looks legit and like a star. So what about Jalen Green? And I think Milwaukee goes, we don't want Jalen Green. We're not as into that. And maybe they agree on an Alperen Şengün.
Sure.
They meet in the middle, right? He's a great player. And I think it would be a decent, obviously, get for Milwaukee, again, if they're trading us. And then in addition, you do have Tari Eason. You do have Jabari Smith Jr. You do have Cam Whitmore, who has shown flashes. You have Reed Shepherd, who was the number 3 pick. Obviously, wasn't much of a role for him this year. So, you get a pretty good-looking deal. You have this team option still possibility with Van Vliet to make salary caps work. To make the matching salary is what I meant work. So, the Rockets, it makes sense. And we've heard, Kevin Durant sweepstakes, Devin Booker sweepstakes, whatever other superstar. You're not going to do better than the Giannis as the superstar. So if you've done it well and you've accumulated all this young talent and all these picks, that's the move you do, I think. Whether or not the Bucks want Şengün or Jalen Green, I guess.
I kind of think Jalen Green would have to be in the trade from a salary standpoint. But they have so many guys that it's if you're the Bucks, you could talk yourself, I think, into either Şengün or I think you're right. Amen would be the guy that they would want. But obviously that would be the guy Houston would want to keep as well. Though, I mean, a Şengün and Giannis frontcourt, that's pretty nice. The thing with the Rockets is they have so many good young players and also so many vets who are still around that if they trade a few young guys, the cupboard's not empty. It's not like Giannis is going to a decimated team if there's no Şengün around or if there's no Amen Thompson around. There's enough pieces that they can still field a really good team, and obviously Giannis takes them to the next level.
Yeah.
So I like that one too. Those are the top 2 teams.
Yeah. Sure. My one pause with, I guess, keeping Şengün and obviously him not being a part of the trade is a lot of shooting there from your bigs and Şengün and Giannis. So you're going to have to obviously, and even Amen Thompson, if we're being, if these are your 3 guys, you got no shooting really in your forward spot. So that's maybe why I could see him being included, but Rockets just make sense. Again, these are just we're talking out potential landing spots. Okay, San Antonio, Houston are you gonna go with the trifecta in Texas here with Dallas or?
They didn't make my list.
Okay.
I know there's ways they could do it.
Yeah,
but it's like you're trading Nico Harrison's favorite players to make it happen. I don't think it's gonna go.
Okay.
There's another team on this list that maybe you'll take him, but I literally can't send Giannis to the Thunder. I can't do it. I hate it. So I'm switching.
I might get there later.
I'm changing up here. I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets, even though I don't like it for Giannis at all. This would be going to a worse situation, I do believe, than Milwaukee is in right now. There's just not a lot of good young players to trade away from Brooklyn. It's Cam Johnson probably available, or they would want him in the trade. I think Milwaukee would. Cam Thomas, I'm not a big fan, but there are probably some people that are. Nick Claxton as well. Day'Ron Sharp. These are definitely a step down from the San Antonio, Houston young players, but they got a whole bunch of picks they can offer. Number 8, 19, 26, and 27 in this year's draft alone. Nobody wants 4 picks in the same draft, really, but who knows? You move them around, that kind of stuff. They've also got 2027 picks from New York. They got a protection one from Philadelphia. Then they've got really complicated protection draft picks available in 28, 29, and 2031, which is a year that seems made up to me at this point. Nonetheless, the Nets also do have cap space, so they can save the Bucks some money, and then also bring in some Giannis-led pieces, right? Figure out how to build around him. Like I'm saying, I'm not a big fan of this for Giannis specifically, but I can see maybe the Bucks being we love the picks that they have to offer. That's what we're going with.
Yeah, according to the New York Post, Brian Lewis, the Nets have long been amassing capital with hopes of acquiring Giannis.
Right.
And look, you add Giannis to this team, I mean, almost it feels like any team, or at least a team that wasn't in the postseason, it feels like an automatic 15 to 20 more wins.
Yeah.
If Giannis is healthy and playing for you. But yeah, you're right about the return. The player's return is, it's sort of gross for Giannis. It's all future first-round picks, with 13 of them being tradable. What it does check, though, Giannis to the Nets is, well, does he want to play in a big market? He does. I'm sure he maybe would want to play for the Knicks, but they don't have any picks. They don't have any, they have no youth. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be obviously some more established players going for him if that were to happen. So maybe it's out of the running. And then when you look at LA, you look at New York and LA, right? And then it's what are the Lakers actually going to trade for him? I mean, Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura and,
Yeah, it's basically the Mark
Dalton
Williams
Connect.
package
Yeah,
plus a couple of guys.
Yeah, I think you would need a third team to dance to make that happen. So, again, you're looking at the big markets and you start sort of eliminating some of these teams quickly and you get down to the Brooklyn Nets, who could in theory do it. But it also keeps him in the East.
Yes.
And we're hearing reports that he wants to stay in the Eastern Conference. Which, I mean, sure, if you want to help your chances to win another title, which he says that's what he wants. This is the whole point of this, if leaving Milwaukee, is to give him a chance to win a second title. He will not be able to sleep at night if he retires with only one title. So you do stay in the East. That's wise.
Yeah.
That's wise. So, okay, Brooklyn Nets. I had them on my list, too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with a weird team for my next one.
Let's go.
What about the Detroit Pistons?
They made the bottom of my list. They absolutely did. Yeah.
Now, I do not think Milwaukee would want to trade with a divisional foe. It's a little strange.
Yes.
And it's going to Detroit from Milwaukee, so this is not your big city New Yorks or obviously big city LAs, and that's maybe a part of the Giannis equation. But the Pistons have all their first round picks in the next 7 seasons. And so they're allowed to trade 4, and then they could swap in the other ones. A lot of draft capital there. Again, though, you're like, well, Giannis is on your team, so how great are those picks going to be? I get that. But they have talented players like in Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, you might believe could blossom obviously into a player still. A contract and a guy that sort of redeemed himself a little bit this year, Tobias Harris, and then picks. It's not the sexiest thing, but I like the idea of Giannis teaming up with Cade as your 1-2. I mean, man, that is fun right there. And maybe, obviously growing off of this season. So I think it's far-fetched. I think it's very far-fetched, but I just wanted to include the Pistons.
Yeah, I had the Pistons as my, how many teams is this? They're maybe my 9th team on the list.
Geez.
But they definitely made my list because, like you're saying, they've got stuff they can move that makes sense. It'd be cool to see, but I have them ranked very low for the same reason I have the Cavs ranked very low. I don't think the Bucks want to see Giannis 4 times a year for the rest of his career.
No.
That would be bad.
It would be bad. That's why, and a lot of teams in the West do have more talent, and he doesn't. It hurts his chances to win a title because he's going out west. I'm sorry if you're Milwaukee, you're like, okay, well, we want a better return, man. So we're sending you out west. Yep. But okay, I'll take the Pistons. 4th, I guess overall. Let's do one more round. Who's your final team here in the landing Giannis sweepstakes?
Do you think the Bucks are crazy about Matas Buzelis and Kobe White?
Who's the homer now?
JK, you gotta be. I did go into the trade machine to make sure they could make it happen, but literally the only way Giannis ends up on the Bulls is if he's like, I'm going to the Bulls and that's it.
Yeah.
And that would be a bad trade for Milwaukee, so don't do it. But my official pick for my last one, I think it's more Bucks-centric, actually, than Giannis-centric. The New Orleans Pelicans. Zion, the number 7 pick in this year's draft, and Milwaukee gets their picks back in 26 and 27.
Now that's a big part of it.
Exactly. You're taking a swing on Zion. Hey, maybe it'll be healthy. Maybe the cheese curds would be a bad mix. I don't know. But guess what? You've got the protection of we can actually tank and our team can be bad. If Zion plays 20 games, misses the last 60 of the season, who cares if you lose? Because now you've got your pick back and you can draft somebody at the top of the draft.
I love that thinking of getting your picks back. That's a big part of this. You see a lot of these teams without their picks are going, holy crap. Now that they're at a spot where we're not good.
Yes.
Damn, what are we going to do now? We have no picks. We can't get better through the draft.
Go for the play-in.
And man, can you get your own back? And we've talked about the Suns with that and stuff. But okay, yeah, I'm just thinking Giannis on the Pelicans.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's tough to picture.
Do you like the Giannis-Yves Missi pairing?
I mean, maybe Giannis on the Pelicans saves the Pelicans.
True.
Basketball in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's why I say this is more
some buzz.
Bucks-centric. It's like DeJounte Murray coming off an injury. Yeah. Giannis. I guess CJ McCollum would probably still be around.
Yeah.
If that's the case. They obviously have defenders in Herb Jones. Trey Murphy's a good outside scorer.
Right. You don't think one of those guys are included in this sort of deal? That's where I was coming to.
Yeah, maybe so. You'd probably one of either Herb or Trey.
I think so.
Alongside Zion.
Yeah. It's something.
Exactly.
Something.
Yeah, it's a weird mix. It's a weird cosmic gumbo down there in New Orleans if he were to be the guy. But I do like it for the Bucks because they're probably not going to get a better current player than Zion at his peak, and they still got the protection of okay, if things go poorly at least we're not screwed when they go poorly.
Yeah. I have seen a lot of like hypothetical Pelicans Bucks trades with Giannis and a third team involved, which in rerouting maybe some of these things, which I could see as well. So I like that. All right, my final team. I'll do it. I mean, I should just wait to see what happens in Game 7 on Sunday, but I've been saying it for a while that I think the Thunder will be players in this if they flame out here. We know they have the picks. They got a million picks. Yeah. They can do that part of it. Why wouldn't you want to why wouldn't you want to try and pair Giannis with SGA? Two guys basically like in their primes. Yes. You just surround them with elite role players, which they still would have left over because they do have a deep team. Super smart front office. That's just a power move. I know it's not a Presty type of move, but we just always keep saying, like, when are you going to cash in all this stuff? And, like, you literally wouldn't be able to cash it in for anything better than Giannis still in his prime with a chip on his shoulder to get a second title to try and take your team led by SGA to the next level. So they could put a lot of stuff together. Now, I think the Bucks would go, yeah, okay, Chet Holmgren or J-Dub. And I think the Thunder, if they lose here, this is like, obviously, if they don't get to the conference finals, they don't get to the finals, they don't win the whole thing. This is a big part of it. They would have to consider doing it, and I would do it in a heartbeat. Either of those guys, like that, if they don't win the title this year.
Yeah. Can't disagree.
You could get there other ways. Like if you could somehow keep all of that, wow. But like Hartenstein, Case and Wallace. Remember their last draft pick who's never played in the NBA?
Yeah.
Nikola Topic. What do you go, 10th?
Yeah, supposed to be a top 5 guy. But
they obviously just kept him overseas. He was injured. Wiggins, and other stuff like this, multiple first rounders. So you could get there other ways, but I think it starts with a Holmgren or a J-Dub. And again, I would do either one of them for Giannis. So,
yeah,
and that's a pretty good player for the Bucks to get. Like that's an all-NBA, all-star player.
Young,
yeah.
They're both still on their rookie contracts, though they're going to be having to be paid pretty soon. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I would do it if the centerpiece is Isaiah Hartenstein and Nikola Topic.
No, probably not.
We got Nikola back. Jokic?
Jokic?
No. Jokic? No, not even him.
Topic.
Yep, Topic.
So yeah, I'll go Thunder, but again, I gotta just dig my heels in on this because I have been saying it for a long time, and you're starting to see it more and more. And I think maybe that's because the Thunder are on the ropes here and could lose Game 7 on Sunday. Do you have any other wild cards you want to share here for the people?
Closest I could get to a realistic homer pick is the Hawks. Jalen Johnson, Zach Risache, Dyson Daniels, all good young players. They've got the number 13 and 22 pick in this year's draft. They got some bad swaps. They owe picks on the outside, but starting in like 2029, 2030, they can offer their own picks as well. Cupboard would be kind of bare here in Atlanta, but I like Trey and Giannis playing together.
I know. It's sort of just like, it's a version of Dame and Giannis, I guess, playing together.
Yes,
and you're right, there's not a lot left over, but I mean, obviously, just the what it brings, like adding Giannis to a team like the Atlanta Hawks, who, you know, that's an injection, obviously, into your franchise and merchandise and ticket sales and all that. So you sort of get it from the business side of things. But yeah, that's a decent little package. Jalen Johnson,
not bad,
Risache,
exactly.
and Dyson Daniels, not bad. Okay, that's great. All right, drafting teams, hypothetical teams where Giannis going to land. He'll probably just stay with Milwaukee.
Yeah,
that was all for naught. But we had fun. Let's hear your favorite landing spot for Giannis in the stream team and in the comments. Oh.